That was highly entertaining content last night. There were a lot of playoff games. That was good. And it started at 6:40 Eastern time and really went pretty deep into the night with some of the West Coast games. Obviously, the earlier games were more important for who's getting in and who's not, but we had some clinchers, so it's going to be good. That was fun. I mean, we're going to get 5 more nights of this until the playoffs. We don't get this often.
Especially Detroit and the Guardians.
They're
really in the thick of it. And Seattle's won the West. Congratulations to them.
Mm-hmm.
Houston might not get in at all, which would be amazing. Which I don't think anybody thought was a possibility going into this. The Dodgers and the Padres are still alive somehow in that division because the Dodgers bullpen is not good right now, especially the very, very back end of it. But Trinan has struggled. Tanner Scott struggled. The Blue Jays haven't won the East yet, and the Yankees are right there. So there's a lot of drama still to be decided. But the biggest thing to me is the fact that the Astros might not get in at all, which is just insanity to me.
Yeah, they basically have had a hold on the division for a decade now. Are we good to start with Guardians and Tigers? Because that one felt like a legit playoff game.
It is a playoff game. They're fighting for their playoff lives.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's do that. Let's charge the mound. It's presented by New Sponsor Alert.
Charging the mound.
Lids. And we'll talk more about Lids coming up. Guardians win. They beat Tarik Skubal. Last 3 starts for Skubal, all losses for the Tigers. This game had a little bit of everything. And it all kind of fell apart for them quickly. Tigers looked like they were in control of this one. Guardians win at 5-2, and they've beaten the Tigers in 4 straight. The losing skid for Detroit is 7 in a row, and we can get into some intricacies here, but I do want to point this out as well, AJ. They struck out 19 times. 19 times. And there were a few questionable calls for both sides. Umps definitely had some terrible performances yesterday, and whoever was in control of home plate yesterday in that game was bad. But 19 strikeouts for the Tigers bats, you're not going to win many games like that.
Oh no, Williams was awesome for them. For the Guardians, 12 punch-outs in 6 innings, only to continue their streak of 2 earned runs or less. Their bullpen came in and did what it did with Sobrowski, who we had on the show in spring training, Hunter Gaddis, and then Cade Smith. But I mean, Skubal was in control of this game, and still the Guardians started playing small ball, which is why I still think bunts are effective. I think bunts in big situations are effective, especially if you have dudes with speed and can put pressure on the other team. Because Stephen Kwan leads off with the infield bunt hit. You're like, no big deal. And the next thing you know, they bunt again. Skubal tries to hike it to first. It goes away. Then Jose Ramirez hits a 7-hopper to the third baseman. They can't get any outs on. Then a balk, a wild pitch, and then prayers for David Fry, please.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's okay, but that was one of the worst things I've ever seen when he took a fastball right to the face. I know it hit the bat, but still. So prayers to David Fry. You saw Skubal's reaction. Next pitch, wild pitch to score a run. I mean, they scored 3 runs and didn't hit a ball that got to the dirt of the infield, which is crazy. So, I mean, kudos to the Guardians and Gavin Williams, but man, Skubal was in control of this game until small ball kicked in. So I don't know why more teams don't do it.
This is why people don't do small ball, because had the Tigers just gotten the out, taken the out that they were giving them, and not tried to hike the ball, not got unlucky with a 99-mile-an-hour fastball that hit off of Jose's knuckles, not flinched on the balk. That's why organization teams are like, I can't rely on bunting. We got to rely on the home run. You have to have some type of blend. And I disagree with what Scott said. They said, the Guardians took the game. I think the Tigers gave them the game. If these are the 2 teams that are playing in the playoffs, you're like, are we going to see any hits? Like, there just wasn't. Riley had the home run. Wenzel Perez had the double. Seemed like they were in control of the game, but it just was kind of a hitting game. And Gavin Williams, he just listened to AJ and was like, I'll just throw this curveball. They can't hit it, and they never made the adjustment. They would take the balls and swing. I mean, they would take the strikes and swing at the balls. It was a bad recipe for the Tigers hitters.
Top 4, bases loaded, 1 out.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of situations. 3-2 count, he drops a curveball in. Also, let's not forget in that situation. Then he got the next guy to swing at a ball in the strike zone. I mean, Austin Hedges did an unbelievable job getting Gavin Williams through this game. He deserves a lot of credit. But Skubal was in control of this game until they started bunting. That's why I think bunting should be a part of something. I've seen it happen too many times. It's not that you just, especially if you have a bunch of fast guys like the Guardians, Quan, and I forget who hit second for him, the center fielder. Hold on. I went blank on his name. Martinez.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, Angel Martinez bunted then, right? I mean, Quan hit a perfect bunt to start it off. You're like, Skubal, you're like, okay, we're up 2-0, no big deal. Then Martinez bunts the ball to first, and that's when Skubal panicked and threw it over the head, and that's when all heck broke loose after that for the Guardians. So small ball still can win you games. If you can't hit homers, you got to try small ball. And teams aren't used to defending it. That's why I think the Brewers are so successful, because teams aren't used to defending this little stuff. But they're tied now in the standings, and Cleveland has the tiebreaker. The biggest thing for Cleveland, they got to win one of the next two. If they win one of the next two, they're in great shape. They control their own destiny going into the last 3 games.
Because they'd essentially be 2 games up. If they win one of the next 2 games, they would have a 1-game lead. That is really a 2-game lead.
No, they're tied. They're tied right now. So if they win one of the next 2, they split.
All right.
If they win the next 2, that's over.
Right.
You can cancel it. They're tied, but Cleveland has the tiebreaker.
So if they split,
if they split the next 2, Cleveland controls their own destiny.
Right, and they'll both go in with 3 games left. And
Detroit's got to go to Boston.
Yes.
And Cleveland has Texas, who Bruce Bochy said basically quit last night.
Yeah. They're throwing out, I think, some of their better starters, but whatever. I mean,
well, DeGrom's pitching tonight, so they ain't going to see him.
Well, couldn't he pitch?
No, Thursday. For today's Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They ain't bringing him back short.
No.
So DeGrom's pitching tonight, so he's done.
I think they might see Kelly in that series. But anyway.
Would you rather see DeGrom or Kelly?
No, not close. I would obviously rather see Kelly. Wait, one more thing on this game. So Cody Stavenhagen brought this up. He said there were 2 outs when A.J. Hinch brought in Kyle Finnegan to face Stephen Kwan, righty against lefty. Kwan has a 774 OPS against right-handed pitching, only 590 against left-handed pitching. Cody said Hinch went with his best arm in the moment, but for a manager who has obsessed over matchups, it's one of the oddest decisions in his Tigers tenure. Do you guys agree?
No.
No?
Splitter. Kwan's numbers against the splitter aren't very good, so you're getting a guy that you have to get him to put the ball in play. And I think I didn't disagree with that. Righty-lefty doesn't always apply. Some guys have better splits, but some guy who is he gonna go to down there? To me, I thought Finnegan was the guy. He knew his not season on the line, but the game was on the line. It had to stay exactly where it was. I like going to Finnegan, not just the robot. We need a lefty. We need somebody different. You want to go out there and win or lose the game with your best pitchers on the mound. He went to Tommy Kahnle right out of the gate in the whatever that was, the 6th or 7th inning when Skubal came out.
Yeah, but Kahnle hasn't had a good year this year. Let's also not. Kahnle is not like Kahnle's lights out. The problem is they don't have anybody down there. We went through it yesterday. Kahnle's got a 4.5 ERA. He went to Finnegan to try to clean up Kahnle's mess, right? From the hit and the walk, and then so he's like, oh boy, here we go. And he went to his best guy, who's been his best guy, to try to hold it at 3-2, hoping against hope that they wouldn't score. And then once they put those 2, once it made it 5-2, that game was over. I mean, it was just over. I mean, what's he supposed to do? He went to Finnegan to try to save the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he did the right. I think it was the right move. Who else is he going to go to? We went through their bullpen yesterday. Who's he going to go to? It ain't like they have tons of strikeout dudes down there.
No.
Kwan's more than likely going to put the ball in play. He went to the guy he thought gave him a best chance.
It is not a swing and miss bullpen. We knew that. They knew that. Trade deadline, they said, bring in everyone.
But then look at Cleveland. So Gavin Williams struck out 12 in 6 innings. They go to Sobrowski, two punchies in 1 inning.
He's nasty.
He's filthy. Hunter Gaddis, 3 punchies, 1 inning. And then Cade Smith, 2 punchies, 1 inning.
Their bullpen is much better.
Now we'll go to the – Kahnle did strike out 2, right? Okay.
Yeah, he walked the 9-hitter.
He did. And then Finnegan, 0 strikeouts. Herder, 0 strikeouts. Montero, 0 strikeouts.
To me, there's your difference. There is a very extreme difference between what Cleveland's throwing out there in the late innings and what the Tigers are putting out there in the late innings, right? I mean, that's the clear-cut difference right now. Does Detroit have a better offense? Yeah, I would say so, right? There's better offense. Cleveland, I mean, might make the playoffs with one of the lowest-ranked offenses we've seen in the sport in a while, but I would say the starting pitching is a wash, maybe, with those two, because Skubal.
I would take Cleveland starters over right now. The way they're pitching, Mize has been struggling. I mean,
yeah, Flaherty's been up and down.
Really good the second half. Parker Messick's been unbelievable. So I would right now. I think you would have to take the Guardians pitching as a whole.
Yep. And they're playing better D. There's better even at bats, even though the offense might not be as potent. So this is the first time the Tigers are not leading the American League Central since April. And the Guardians were 15.5 games back on July 8th, 12.5 games back on August 25th. They were 9.5 games back on September 10th, 2 weeks ago. 9.5 games back. And here they are.
Oh, they're 16-2 in their last 18.
Yeah, they're on fire. Tigers haven't won in a long time.
Apart.
Skubal, by the way, is scheduled to start Sunday. They're going to probably need him to start on Sunday, and that messes them up.
And then that screws them if they do get into the postseason.
Yeah.
These two teams going to have to play again in the first round, by the way, if things stay where they're at. So the Guardians are like, oh, yeah, please pitch Skubal. The question is if do the Tigers, if it gets to Sunday, do they just say, you know what, Scoobs, you're pitching Tuesday in Cleveland?
We'll be the wild card?
Yeah. Do you do that? Do you concede that?
Yeah, because you're going to be a wild card team regardless, right?
Let's say they're tied going to the last day, and Cleveland has the tiebreaker. Every game starts at the same time. Do you make a decision if you're AJ Hinch and say, we're going to give it up so we have our best guy going game one? Because there's no guarantee if you win and the Guardians win, still don't get the division.
So you're saying they're already in, right? And this is a fight for the division, which is essentially a fight for home field in the wild card.
Yeah.
Oof. I'm saving Skubal. What about you?
I'm probably going to save him. I'm probably going to concede and say, you know what? I got to fight a bigger fight in 2 days.
Most scenarios I might do differently, but they're so Skubal reliant. I know they've lost the last three with him, but Kratz, I would save him. What about you?
I'd save him. You have to figure out how to win. Once you're in, doesn't matter if you're the home or away team, the hosting team or not, you got to win 11 games. I think that's 11 now. 3. No, you got to win 13 games from the wild card. That's it. And one of them, you can't win 13 without Skubal going as many times as possible. Look how far they got last year with Skubal going.
Yeah, so you save him. You need him for that time period.
And then they have the tiebreaker.
But they might need to win that game.
The Astros.
Yes.
The Tigers have the tiebreaker. So
the Astros are screwed on tiebreakers.
The Astros are 2 behind the Tigers right now, even though they're only 1 because of the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, tough sledding for the Astros right now, especially after the way they're swinging the bat last 4 games. They went out to Sacramento and did not look good last night.
No, that was pitiful. It's a
Did
tough
you drop
watch.
the pop-up?
No.
Oh.
I mean, it's hard. I'm like slicing and dicing with games.
I
Which
actually
one?
stayed up to watch his jump.
I did watch a good chunk of the game. Man, you watch like Detroit and Cleveland because Cleveland got a ton of walk-ups and so they had 30-something thousand people there. It was a good vibe. And then you watch the game in Sacramento and you hear every conversation going on the broadcast. And I mean, it feels like you went from a major league game to a minor league game. You see the guys running out to left field, the whole bench to go take some swings. It's pathetic. I just don't want to overlook that.
Yeah. Christian Walker wanted no part to do with a Brent Rooker pop-up. Nothing. And Correa's running in, and Javier's looking around like nobody's going to get it. I guess I'll do what pitchers can't do and try to catch his pop-up. And it was like, I mean, it looked like high school pop-up practice. Like went over his glove, he like reached for it, missed it. Not good. They're not looking good.
No, they're not scoring. In Sacramento, where you can definitely pour it on.
Where, you should get hot.
Yeah. Let's get to...
But listen, the thing about Sacramento is people have said it's not a fun place to play. And by the way, Sacramento, A's, whatever the hell they're called now, they hit their over, by the way, just saying.
Oh, for wins. Yes, that was a big one for you.
Huge lock of the
That
year.
was your
I don't
5-star.
think it was ever gonna
No,
get
we
there.
all believed in you.
71.5.
We believed in you before this season.
71.5 was the number.
Okay, we believed. Just want to clarify. We believed in you before the season. Then they lost like 20 in a row, and we didn't believe in you. And then we jumped back
the
on.
Mets. I'm staying the course with the Mets, and you saw what the Mets did last night.
Yeah, that was bold. We were on with Mendy, and he was just like, "Mendy, you're in. Don't worry about it." And he's like, "Okay,
lock it in."
You're like, "No, you're in."
You saw what happened last night.
We are going to spend a nice little segment
by the way,
on
the
that.
Reds lost too, and they got a Skeens today.
Skeens green, but yes, it's
still
it's
not like,
very interesting.
It's not like last time Hunter Green pitched, I was there. He threw a CG, should have had a no-hitter, gave up one hit, and they won 1-0. It's not like this Reds offense is potent.
No, their offense is trash, which we're going to get to. But let's wrap up this segment because then we'll get to the AL East. Shout out to Lids. They'll be part of the mix with us for the next few weeks on FT. Yes, Kratz. I'll talk. You show off the lid.
Am I allowed to show it? Am I allowed to show it?
Or do you tease it? Let's tease it. Tease it to the end, okay? But we can let everyone know what?
Nobody knows what the team is. So everybody's got to guess. What Lids is it?
Send us a guess in the chat right now.
It's a Phillies hat. I mean, we're not that dumb.
Text territory to 29017 and you get 20% off your next headwear or apparel purchase at any U.S. lid store. We'll do Kratz Hatz at the end. We'll also do a little breaking of a Topps Chrome box that I have here for AJ and I to enjoy. Again, 29017 and get yourself 20% off your next headwear or apparel purchase at any U.S. lid store. This is how FT does what it does. Thanks to Lids for supporting us during the stretch run of the season. Ken Rosenthal, Inside Scoop next. Kratz, let's talk about Omaha Steaks, and it's not just steaks. It's chicken wings. It's smash burgers. Big deli-style franks. There are a number of categories that you can hit all in one place. They've been doing it for a long time. They're the best in the biz. And if you got a good filet, life's good, man.
But you got to finish every meal with some delectable desserts, too. They have those, too, to go along with these delicious steaks.
Apple caramel tarts on the list, among many other menu items to check out. Be the hero that orders Omaha Steaks and is the most popular person in your household. So get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot Sale event. And for an extra $35 off, $35 off on top of that, use promo code FOUL at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. And an extra $35 off with promo code FOUL at checkout. See site for details. MVP chants for Aaron Judge from his teammates as they celebrate clinching a postseason spot. And I'm sure there are some Mariners fans that are bitter about it. But anyway, congrats to the Yankees for clinching a postseason spot. They certainly went through some ups and downs. The fan base has been enraged at times this year.
Yeah, they didn't play great last night. The White Sox helped them immensely in that game. There was a fly ball that Judge and Grisham dropped, and Colson Montgomery hit a home run to give the White Sox a lead. And that was one of the most White Sox ways to lose a game, by the way. Wild pitch with two outs, and then Michael A. Taylor's getting killed for not diving. Why do you not dive for that? You're not throwing Aaron Judge out with 2 outs on that ball. You got to give it everything you got to try to catch. I don't know.
I heard the catch probability was like 15%.
Well, it was better than if you at least try than if you just let it drop and try to throw the guy out. It's 0 if you don't try to catch it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the throw out probability was? 0. So I'd take the 15 for sure. And he stutter stepped to try to get there. Hey, he's a good center fielder. No, nothing against him. Just in that moment, it was kind of looked like he should have dove.
In that kind of moment, don't you dive even if it's not crazy close? It doesn't matter, yeah.
But the wild pitch, 3-2 count, and it's like walk, Volpe hit. Walk. It's like, oh my gosh, what a White Sox way to lose.
That was.
and the Yankees fans need to relax. This is a good team. They're flawed,
Agreed.
but they're a good team.
The Inside Scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I want to shed our Midwest bias just for a moment. We spent 16 minutes on the AL Central. We're talking about them basically at the top of the show every day. So let's finally give the AL East a little bit of love. One time, okay? So your thoughts on what's going down right now. The Yankees clinch, they win. Blue Jays fall to a Red Sox team that needs to stay competitive. Do you think that we still have ourselves a little race here with the Yanks one game back?
I do. And Scott, that might be the first time in broadcast history where somebody said they had an AL Central bias. That's not a common thing you hear on any airwaves. But as for the AL East, sure, it's still alive. One, because the margin is, you can see right there, just one game. Two, because Garrett Crochet starts tonight for the Red Sox against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are having trouble scoring. Happens to all teams. Maybe they're feeling it a little bit as they close in on the division. But this is still quite something. And yes, the Blue Jays do hold the tiebreaker. It's a distinct advantage, but we've got a ways to go here, and we'll see what happens. The Yankees have the White Sox and the Orioles left. They've got a chance to run the table here, and then that will increase the pressure on Toronto.
A couple things on Toronto, Ken, for you. Number one, Alek Manoah was designated for assignment by the team. So your thoughts on the rise and the fall of Manoah within the organization, because this team is going to lose some starting pitchers most likely this offseason due to free agency. So what did you think of that move? I'll start there with you.
I was surprised. I would believe that most people in baseball were surprised by this news. You see it right there. That Ross Atkins said it came down to roster crunch and depth. Also, they did not like what they were seeing from Manoah. Velo is down. The body wasn't great. Of course, he's had some conflict with the organization. And Scott, you mentioned the rise and fall. His rise was pretty spectacular. For a while there, it looked like he might be the next great pitcher in the major leagues. And he was in the All-Star game. If you remember, he was mic'd up. It was a really entertaining player. He was a really good player for a long time, and then the injuries happened, and here is where he is today. If I were Alek Manoah right now, I'd be fired up by this. I'd be like, okay, you're giving up on me when you could have DFA'd any number of other players. I'm sure they had others on their 40-man they could have gone and lopped off, but they gave up on him. So it's a challenge to him, obviously. It's an organization saying, we don't want you anymore. And I would expect Alek Manoah will come out of this thinking, you know what? I've got something to prove, and I'm going to prove it.
Speaking of the Blue Jays, before we get into the Springer fair ball controversy, which I still don't know why we can't figure out how to review some of this stuff. What the heck's wrong with Vladdy Jr.? Like his for a month and a half now, he has not performed. John Schneider kind of, I don't want to say called him out the other day, but kind of, we need more out of him. He's one swing away, kind of. He's giving away at bats, this and that. What the heck's going on with Vladdy? Because they need him now more than ever.
AJ, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with him, but you're right. It's been something of a concern there. And with Bichette out still, and we don't know when he's coming back, it's that much more of a concern. And we all know, too, this is the time of year, crunch time, when you want your best players to step up. It's happening in New York with Aaron Judge, happening in Seattle with Kyle Raleigh, happening with other teams as well that are in contention. Shohei last night, for example. And Vlad is their guy. He's their $500 million player now. So sure, it's not unreasonable for them to say, hey, man, let's go. Obviously, they're in a bit of a rut right now, and they've got to come out of it. It's as simple as that. They've got to come out of it or they lose the division and things change for them. They've got to play the wild card round where they've had trouble. So what was looking so promising for the Jays just a few days ago now looks more troublesome. But again, they do have this in their control. They control their destiny, as we say at this time of year, with the tiebreaker, with the one-game lead. But as we've seen in so many of these races, which have been so exciting and interesting, you got to win. You got to keep winning, and they're not doing that right now.
Ken, let's go to that Springer play that AJ talked about. When they created the review rules, was there a reason why they said, no, nothing in front of the umpires? Was there something we're trying to stay away from that I don't see? Because we feel like we have so much good technology. Can't we get this right? And has it been brought up when they talk about these rule changes or things like this?
Erik, I don't remember why this was excluded from the plays that could be reviewed. My guess is, and I'm only guessing, so I don't want to say anything definitive here, is that they didn't want to expand it to the point where everything under the sun was potentially under review. That said, that call the other night was pretty clearly wrong. Any angle you look at, and I know we don't have necessarily the perfect angle, but my gosh, it looked like the ball went over the bag. It looked like Springer had an entirely legitimate beef. When he was caught by John Boy saying if they want to give it to New York, they should just give it to them. I don't know about that. But I can understand certainly his frustration with the call. And Erik, it would seem to me it would behoove the league to now say, okay, you know what? Let's do the lines too. And there are some other areas perhaps that they would want to consider. We're going to ABS next year. So that's another area where we're going to look to eliminate the egregious. Why not do it with this as well? I'm not sure what the answer is. And actually, I probably should try to find out.
And throw in foul tips while you're at it, because they're talking about check swings and stuff like that. But that's my wish list. ABS. What did you take from, one, the fact that it's coming in, kind of boring, we knew that was going to happen, and two, the voting and how the voting, yes, it passed, but is there something more to read into that, obviously, with the collective bargaining coming up?
I don't think so. And actually, I was surprised that the players were as favorable in the end as it turned out, right? It was 2/3. Am I correct in saying that?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. 2/3 is a pretty good majority. And with ABS, there was always going to be some players who dissented. There were some concerns raised, and I wrote about them with Jason Stark about the system. But by and large, players who have appeared in the minor leagues in the last few years have experienced it. They know what it is, and most of them seem quite okay with it. So I would imagine if we broke down the vote, if we had the public release of the votes, we'd see more objections from the veterans and maybe from the catching community. But in general, the players seem to understand, one, this was coming anyway, and two, that it ultimately could be a good thing. Zach Gallen was quoted today as saying, hey, there might be a 3-2 call in a close game in the ninth inning that I throw a pitch where it's called a ball and it's crucial that it's a strike and I get the pitch when it's overturned. That's a good thing. And I would agree with him on that. So by and large, I'm excited about this. I expect it's going to be a good thing for the game. And the most encouraging thing to me is, well, two things, actually. One, that we're not going full ABS. That to me would be a mistake. And that's never really even been something that had that much momentum. The other thing that I like here is that it's quick. Everyone says that this is going to be a 15-second process. So at the most, if it's 15 seconds, that's nothing. It's not like with replay where sometimes it does drag on and can be a detriment. This is not going to be that. And ultimately, it's going to be something that adds strategy. It's going to be something that reduces arguments, I would think. And it's going to be something that as a whole benefits the game. So while there are concerns with it, as there are any time something new is introduced, again, it's a win for the sport.
Ken, do you have your passport? You have a passport? Do they make passports for you people?
I do.
You do?
You people?
Okay, good.
What does that mean? What are we talking about?
You reporter people. You reporter people.
Yeah, we need passports too.
Okay, I just didn't know how it worked. If you had special lanyards you had to wear or something, I'm not sure. But because the reason I asked this is you're on Fox, I'm on Fox. You're more than likely going to Toronto or New York, one or the other. So I want to make sure that you have a passport. I'm more than likely going to have to fly across the country and go to Seattle, which is great because I love Seattle. Can Seattle make a deep run with the way their team is constructed? Because they've won the West. The West is over. They're 4 games up. They have the tiebreaker. The whole thing. The West is over. Can they make a deep run for the first time ever? And dare I say it, Mariner fans, make it to the World Series?
I say the answer to that is yes. And I like the fact not only that they're poised to win the division, but they have firm control of the number 2 seed, which ensures a bye, and an outside shot at least at the number 1 seed. So the way this is laying out for them, or playing out for them, I should say, they're going to be able to set up their pitching. They're going to be able to get some rest. And at home, where they have been absolutely dominant for some time now, this is a good setup for them. They're going to be the home team or the home field advantage in the division series if this holds, and maybe throughout the AL playoffs if indeed they get that number one seed, which is, again, an outside chance, but they're a game behind the Yankees, 2 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays. So with their pitching, we've always thought, all of us have always thought, if they get in, they're really dangerous. And I just love what Naylor has brought to that team. He's brought them an edge. And we talk about guys who play with an edge and have a little bit more to them and how there are so few in the game today. He's one of them. And in my view, what he does for a team is beyond the numbers. There's a certain grittiness to him, and we've seen it. I think he has now 6 game-winning hits since joining the Mariners, some kind of stat like that. So I do like them right now. And yes, you have to like them. Their bullpen is good as well. So there's a lot going on that's good in Seattle, and playing at home or having a home field advantage will make it even better.
Does this last 5 games, since AJ said it is already wrapped up for the Mariners, I know Cal's going to play every game. Does that hurt his chances for the MVP? Does he need that narrative to push all the way through? What if they get the best record in the American League? Is that going to change his MVP voting status?
I would say with 5 games remaining, certainly he can enhance his status. I don't know that he can hurt it, even if he goes over 25. I don't really see that happening, for one thing. And also, what he's done already is unique in the game's history, and it has firmly established him as a powerful MVP candidate. Now, I've said all along, and I believe this, and I don't have a vote this year in the MVP race in the American League. To me, there is no wrong choice. And while Raleigh has had a historic season, and he's done something that's never been done by a catcher or a switch hitter, he's almost redefined what a catcher can do in this game. And it's amazing to think about all of that. We cannot forget that Judge is having a historic season too. These seasons that he has had, 22, 24, now 25, are among the greatest seasons by a right-handed hitter in American League National League history. So his advantage in OPS is something like 170 points over Raleigh. Now, Raleigh does, of course, so many other things as a catcher where you can certainly justify reducing that, or at least saying that compensates for the difference in OPS. Again, I don't believe there's a wrong choice. I know people in Seattle and people in New York might feel otherwise. I'd be comfortable with either. Right now, I would say the narrative probably favors Raleigh. 58 home runs, and if he gets to 60, I mean, come on. But at the same time, we cannot forget what Judge is doing here. We cannot overlook what he is doing here. That's why it is such an interesting argument.
Ken, the Tigers are collapsing like nobody's business. The Dodgers bullpen has collapsed like nobody's business. Which one's worse? Which one's a bigger deal? Obviously, you're going to say the Tigers because they might not make the playoffs. But, I mean, what has happened to the Dodgers bullpen and what's happened to the Tigers?
The Tigers have just kind of unraveled. And their starting pitching since September 1st has not been very good, at least by their usual standards. They were ranking, I believe, 7th through August in ERA. And now, since then, not so good. Their offense has been less extreme in its underperformance, but still not performing the way it should. And right now, honestly, I had a GM say this to me this morning. He doesn't think Cleveland's a good team. He doesn't think Detroit is a good team. And the reason he knocks Cleveland, even though they're as hot as they are, is simply because their offense is so lacking, for lack of a better term. So it's interesting that the Tigers last year led this charmed existence, the pitching chaos. They had this incredible run, historic run, and now it's historic the other way. I don't know what that speaks to. They could have had a better deadline, yes, but this is kind of a system-wide collapse. The Dodgers, the bullpen has been an issue all season, and they were waiting for Trinan to come back. He came back. He's not been as good. Yates, not as good as he was last year, for sure. Tanner Scott, 10 blown saves, leading the major leagues. It's just one after another of the high-priced guys who have not performed well. Some of the others, like Alex Vesia, have. Where it leaves them is a really interesting place because as we go into the postseason, their starting rotation looks great. Ohtani was brilliant last night, like incredible brilliant. Yamamoto's been great. He's probable Cy Young top 5 finisher. And Blake Snell's been really good since coming back. Kershaw will be in the bullpen, it would seem, and they've got Tyler Glass now. They can perhaps use him in the bullpen as well. But will you be able to get through all 9 innings? That's going to be the question with them, and it's a big problem. And they're not getting to 95 wins, right? We all thought this was a super team. This was the team that was going to ruin baseball. No, they're not going to get to 95. They're not going to have a bye. And there are real questions here whether in the postseason they can suddenly snap their fingers and say, okay, now it's time to go. We've been waiting for that all year, and they really haven't done it. They did it in one series, that series against the Padres when they swept them. Otherwise, they've just been kind of there.
Ken, real quick before you go, if the Tigers have a chance and they're one game or they're tied with the Guardians going to the last day, and they can pitch Skubal and win, but also know that the Guardians could win and not win the division, do you pitch Skubal or do you just say, screw it, we'll take the wild card, have Skubal game 1?
They're already in. So the caveat.
They're already into the postseason.
Yeah.
But
That's
you have
the
the
question
chance
of
to
the
win
day.
the division or not win the division, pitching or not pitching Skubal.
It's a tough one. I think if you're already in, you have to play for the postseason, and you have to worry about the postseason. It's a tough call because, yes, winning the division has its advantages, and you could then back up Skubal to game 1 of the division series. But it would seem to me you have to play for what is best for you in the postseason, and that would be Skubal in a game 1 situation in a wild card series. Tough call. What's your thought, AJ, on that one?
I say you punt and you go for the wild card and you say I'm pitching him in game 1. You give up the home field.
That's my thing.
I mean, now the owner of the team is going to say I want the money and I want the home games, but at the same time you say, well, if we get to the division series, we have better chance. So
Right.
I'm punting and saying Skubal, get ready for game 1 on Tuesday.
I think I'm doing the same.
Yep. Kratz agreed. I agreed too. So consensus. But good question of the day. Ken, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Tomorrow is Fair Territory. Taking your questions alive. It's Alana. It's Ken. It's Grillin' Ken at some point on Fair Territory. And we'll swing right back and go over the Wild National League wild card race or collapse for basically anyone involved. FT fam, it's still time for you to check out what bathing suit you're wearing and why it's not Fair Harbor. Can we get a little show and tell from Erik Kratz? Nice.
I mean, unfortunately, you can't even see all the little intricacies. We got sharks, we got patterns, we got waves, we got sailboats. Oh, and they feel super buttery on your skin.
Can you show us the liner so people can understand how it's different? Because I've actually been talking it up. I was just on a vacation.
I got the unique liner too. I got the baby blue John. Something about it. I don't know. It pops.
Head to fairharborclothing.com/foul20 and use code FOUL20, FOUL20 for 20% off your order. Once again, that's fair, HARBOR clothing.com/foul20 for 20% off. Make sure you use that promo code FOUL20 so they know FT sent you. We love Fair Harbor. Also, let's talk Blue Jays. We mentioned it to Ken, but Santander gets activated. Ty France failed with oblique inflammation, and Alek Manoah is DFA'd. Ross Atkins, who runs the front office along with Mark Shapiro, said it came down to a roster crunch and depth that they chose others over him, blah, blah, blah. I mean, they gave up. They just said, we're done. We're not trying this anymore. We were looking, his numbers in AAA were okay.
Yeah. He hasn't pitched effectively in the big leagues for how long? 2 years now? Plus 3 years almost?
2022 he was really good. And then 2023
is when he started getting hurt. And he struggled, remember? So, I mean, this is it sucks for Alek Manoah. He seems like a really good guy, but it happens fast, man. It happens fast in baseball. And if he's not, remember he was out of shape and then he was hurt. And it's just, they were just tired of dealing with it. And he's not under contract. They can just let him go. And they did it.
And another team is going to scoop him up.
Some team's going to scoop him up and say, we can fix him.
Yeah.
But the thing about Manoah is his stuff was never over the moon good. It was always like he was a competitor and he threw strikes and he could locate, but he lost the ability to do that. And so then, because if you ask people about him, they won't tell you that his stuff is great.
Right.
His stuff he has a good slider, but his other stuff doesn't rate great. He has to compete and throw in perfect spots. If he's not doing that, he gets whacked.
It's going to be very interesting. 27 years old.
Yeah, there's still some in there.
Yeah.
A lot of time left.
Yep. What a freaking roller coaster ride. We talked to Carlos Mendoza on our show, Mets manager, and then a few hours later, his team is getting smacked early on at Wrigley Field. They're down 6-1. They come back. They win the game. Edwin Diaz gives them 6 outs. He was disgusting. 5 strikeouts. And the Mets are now back in control of their own destiny. How crazy was that game? Because the Mets were blowing it early, AJ. We were texting about it. Like, the Mets were Metsing. I mean, Soto gets turned around on a fly ball in right that had a high catch probability. McNeil had 2 terrible throws. David Peterson was brutal.
David Peterson, he's been their best pitcher.
But he has lost it lately. His ERA is 8.42 in his last 9 starts. I mean, he's probably not making another start. They pushed up Nolan McLean to Thursday so he can pitch and then also be lined up for a potential wild card game. He's now clearly their number 1 starter. But the Mets offense came through here. You got to give them credit. Nimmo with a left-on-left homer. Second time in a week he's done that in a big spot. They came through. Lindor had several key hits and a home run to get things started, but also key RBI later, 2-out, 2-strike RBI. Single off of Pomeranz to make it 7-6. Then they tied again. Then Francisco Alvarez with the 2-run home run. That was his Mets moment.
It was awesome. This was a great game to watch if you were a Mets fan. The question is what do they have left for today? Because they used every one of their dudes yesterday. Stanek, check. Soto, check. Rogers, check. Raleigh, check. Diaz, 2 innings, check. And Diaz has pitched 3 games in a row, so that's 3 out of 4 days because they had Monday off. So it's even available today.
No, I doubt it.
But where was Horton? What happened to Horton? Was he just on an innings limit?
So, 2 things.
Horton, what are we doing? I mean, I get it. The Cubs are already in, but, man, I would have, you're trying to ruin other people's lives here. Like, you leave your best guy out there.
3 innings, 29 pitches. It sounds like he was sick, and then they said his back was tightening up, so that combo. And then Cubs fans are speculating online that they were trying to limit his innings because he's young and he's going to be pitching big playoff games for them. So there's all kinds of rumors being spread. And the Cubs lose, meaning that Kratz, the Padres have 2 lanes to get back to home playoff games in the wild card round if they catch the Dodgers or more likely the Cubs because they're 1.5 games back. I know 2 in the loss column, but they do hold the tiebreaker.
You do not. All of the National League does not want to have home games for the Padres. Whatever they can do, you do not want to play that team in the playoffs at home. But Cade Horton, it probably wouldn't have been very many rumors had we got some kind of solidified reason. But he said, he had trouble breathing. Then his back tightened up. What is it? And this is the issue with what we talk about when we talk about schedule. And Scott says, who would you rather be playing right now? The Braves or the Nats? Who would you rather be playing right? It's where you're playing them at what time. The Cubs aren't mailing it in, but they do have to figure out how to set themselves up and get in to be the number 1 wild card seed. But also to be able to set themselves up to win that first wild card series. So I don't know, but it was an ugly game. It was another ugly game. The Guardians and Tigers, they couldn't hit. The Cubs and the Mets, they couldn't pitch.
Yeah, they could hit though.
Guardians and Tigers faced 2 aces.
Yeah,
Gavin Williams and Skubal. So saying they can't hit.
In general, they're not hitting though. In general, they're not hitting.
Guys. And in this game, there were some questionable decisions, I thought, somewhere. Like I said, Horton coming out, bringing in this guy or that guy to face this guy.
Mendy did a great job,
Mendy did an awesome job because they won the game.
And you go Diaz 6 outs, no messing around, right?
You punch 5 out of the 6 out?
Yeah.
I mean, it was. Oof.
Do you know Dansby Swanson?
He's 0 for 11 with 10 punches.
Yeah, I was going to bring that one up.
That's not good. That's what you get, Dansby, for not scoring on that ball I hit.
You're still on that from last week. Cubs clinched last Wednesday. They have not won since. So it's only 5 games, but at some point.
Well, I mean, they got Boyd going tonight against Tong, and they got Imanaga, who they need to step up against McLean on Thursday. So, listen, the Mets have struggled against left-handed pitching all year, so we'll see. But will Boyd be on a limit? Because he's going to pitch in a postseason game more than likely. Is Imanaga going to be on a limit? Like the Mets are maybe hitting the Cubs at the perfect time.
Schedule-wise, yeah. I mean, this is when you want to run into a team that was coming off a bad sweep against the Reds. You've got to half prep for the playoffs, right? If Cade Horton comes up to you and says, back's feeling a little tight, I can probably go. If you're the Cubs, in fairness, you say, okay, you're coming out of the game because we need you in the playoffs, bro. Like, this game is cool, but this game's not deciding our fate. So
True.
I get it. You know, it's tough timing. Great timing for the Mets, though.
Is Mendy punting on today's game?
No, why would he be punting?
He can't punt on any game.
No, I mean, he can't pitch Diaz, but he's got other arms.
Helsley's going to have to step up. Helsley's going to have to step up. It's Ryan Helsley time.
Yep.
It's time. It's time. This is your chance, Ryan. All the things that have been said and all the struggles you've had as a Met, you know what? You go out there, and if they need you to go 6 outs and you go out there tonight and you get 6 outs for them and they win the game, it all goes away, big fella.
Helsley feels more comfortable because they can't figure it out. They're like, he's not tipping, or we figured that out. His velo's the same. What if they put Helsley tonight? Mendy thinks, hey, you know what? He feels more comfortable in the closer role. We know we don't have Edwin. He stinks in the 7th and 8th inning. Might as well blow Edwin out, not have him because he wasn't going to be able to throw again anyway because he was already on 3 days. He wouldn't throw him 4 in a row. Helsley moves in. Maybe that jump starts Helsley because he's used to the 9th inning.
I agree. I would throw him in the 9th tonight.
I mean, Diaz is thrown, like I said.
Diaz should not.
3 out of 4.
He's not pitching tonight.
He should have. I mean, he's going to say he wants to pitch. But, I mean, again, they used everybody. He used Brazaban.
Soto.
Multiple innings. Soto. Stanek pitched last night. Rogers pitched last night. Raleigh pitched last night. I mean, he went for it. He knew. Plus, it's what I talked about yesterday. They look up there, and they're an hour behind. The Reds had already lost. So guess what? Here's our chance to get back and control our destiny, boys. We're going all in on this game. Tomorrow's tomorrow. But again, this is where the time zones matter, where you're playing and what time you're playing.
Yeah, Reds were trailing the whole game,
too. The Reds fell behind 4-0 early, and you don't think that gave a fire to that Mets dugout, even when they were down 6-1? They're like, we still need to win this game, boys.
Right, you're in the dugout. You're like, hey, guys, we win tonight. We're back. We're back. That's it. We see it. It's on the screen. Let's get to the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks next with Dylan Hernández. And if you're on YouTube with us, we'll talk during the break about the Reds. FT Fam Superpower believes that every human has 100-year potential, and they're going to help you get there. I like the sweatshirt, Erik Kratz, and I also love the way that Superpower takes care of its members.
Yeah. You go get your lab test, you become the best you. You be a member of this group, and your test will come back. It's unlocking things that you didn't know about yourself. This is stuff that players used all the time. You can do it now, too.
Exactly, Kratz. How many of you have gone to a doctor's appointment? You get the classic, oh, you're fine, or just drink more water. No real data, no real game plan. With one simple blood draw with Superpower and over 100 biomarkers, that is way more than what you'd usually get, and it unlocks so much more about your own body. Head to superpower.com to learn more and lock in the special $199 price while it lasts. After you sign up, they'll ask you how you heard about them. Please make sure to mention the FT podcast to support the show. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower. The Diamondbacks had a hell of a walk-off to stay alive. They're still a game back. We're going to talk to Dylan Hernández about that game in general. The Reds are 20-23 in their last 43. They had a great weekend against the Cubs to sweep them, but they were kind of lifeless last night. They lost 4-2. They were down early, and the ballpark looked pretty damn empty. I think the announced attendance was solid, but it didn't look that way.
Terry Francona said he got to the ballpark at 9 a.m. because he was so excited.
In uniform,
but
lifeless. I watched most of that game because it started earlier. Ellie had a great game.
Ellie's the only one that can hit right now.
That's it.
I mean, look at their. I mean,
Steer
Ellie hadn't been hitting.
Him and Steer are in a world of their own, and everybody else is meh.
What happened to Matt McLean? Because Brian Hayes, we knew what you were getting.
I think that shoulder takes more than a year to recover from. I really believe Matt McLean's going to be the dude. Like, he should have been an all-star 2 years ago before he hurt his shoulder. But the thing overarching, has the Great American Ballpark turned into a pitcher's haven now? Like, they have one of the best pitcher starting rotation ERA. The dudes are making jumps and strides in their pitching. And the lineup, which I thought was going to be legit, has gone over the last 2 years.
That's true. And they're building pitching.
They had 29,000 there.
It didn't look like it, though.
Almost 30,000.
Dude,
don't
the
get
outfield
on the
was
there was almost
empty looking. I'm going to say it with my chest. It looked empty in the outfield. Hey, check out this tweet from Dylan Hernández, LA Times columnist, joining us in 5 seconds. Very simple. Tanner Scott does it again. A lack of words from just about anyone right now when we're talking about one of the biggest reliever signings money-wise of the offseason. And Dylan joins us right now. Dylan, when you saw what happened, what were your thoughts? If we forced you to say more than one sentence, what were your thoughts?
Just wow. I mean, it's kind of Ohtani in reverse, right? Where, Ohtani kind of seems to amaze you and kind of take your breath away time and time again. And you're like, oh my God, he did it again. This is like almost that in reverse, right? Where you're just kind of seeing like, at some point he's got to get it right, you think, and he just kind of did it again last night.
Is this the biggest bust signing? I mean, can we call this signing a bust already? Even if they go out and win the World Series, because he signed a 3-year deal. And he was one of the guys that the Dodger fans were saying, oh, man, we're never going to blow a lead with this because we have Scott and Trinan and Kirby Yates and Vesia, and we have an unstoppable bullpen, Kopech, and we're never going to lose. And now all of a sudden he's blown, 10 saves? And his record is god-awful? 11 innings? 11 innings?
Yeah.
Giving up 11 runs or something crazy?
Yeah, it hasn't been good for sure, and I think that, right, I mean, this is the type of contract really that the Dodgers have kind of avoided giving to relievers outside of Kenley Jansen, right, who was kind of a special case, right? We're talking, Jansen, we're talking about, a guy that was kind of like on his way to the Hall of Fame, all-time, career saves leader for the franchise and really stabilized that bullpen. Yeah, this one can turn out to be pretty bad, right? I mean, I think that this isn't the type of contract that you can unload. I think you got 3 more years after this. And just, I think, I mean, if you kind of go back and look at it, I mean, the irony is this is kind of Ohtani's fault in that, right? He faced Ohtani 4 times last year in the NLDS. Ohtani couldn't hit this guy at all. And the Dodgers just said, you know what, the hell with it. Let's go get this guy, partially to take him away from other teams. And the thing just kind of backfired spectacularly. I mean, if Ohtani gets like one hit off this guy in the postseason, I'm not sure they give him $72 million.
Finally, they can blame something that's not going well on Ohtani. Everything else is peaches for Ohtani. But on Tanner Scott, is this a mishandling of Tanner Scott? Has the Dodgers mantra that works for so many people besides keeping pitchers healthy did they handle him incorrectly? I don't watch enough games and didn't look up enough stats. Or is this all a Tanner Scott thing?
Yeah, I actually think that they did mishandle, right? In the sense that they didn't have like a real 9th inning guy coming into this season. I mean, what made Tanner Scott so good in the playoffs last year was like, okay, Ohtani comes up, you bring in Tanner Scott, left on left. You do have to kind of get through Mookie after that, but then it's Freddie Freeman, right? And he really did a great job, right? The Padres kind of deployed him very strategically, kind of throwing him against those lefties. And I think at the beginning of the season, you get him kind of out of his comfort zone. He starts getting hit, and then things just kind of snowballed, right? I mean, I think at this point, you're just kind of watching kind of with the, uncharacteristic fear with his pitching right now. It appears to be just as much of a mental problem now than anything. So, yeah, I think this kind of goes back to the beginning and maybe, again, the role that he had last year that earned him this deal, that's not the same role really that he was asked to perform this season.
Dylan, first of all, what do they do right now? If it's a 1-run lead in the ninth, they're not bringing in Tanner Scott, and this is just the regular season. What if they get to the postseason? Will he be on the roster? And would it be Kershaw closing games? Would it be, I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this, Roki Sasaki in the bullpen to maybe close some games? I don't know. What do they do? Because this was supposed to be, again, a lockdown bullpen. And who closes a game in the wild card round, game one, with a 1-run lead in the ninth?
Yeah, I think these are all great questions. I don't think they know right now. I mean, even coming into this week, I think it was very telling. I asked Dave Roberts, kind of over the last week of the season, you're only going to have so many, high leverage innings. Do you use those innings to get guys like Tanner Scott and Blake Trinan right? Or do you use them more on kind of like experimental guys, right? Like the Roki Sasaki's, maybe Will Klein, who just got called back up and, has looked okay in his first 2 appearances. And Dave Roberts really didn't have an answer at that point. I think at this point, they're just gonna, I don't know. I mean, I think that's a really good question. I mean, I kind of personally like the Kershaw thing just because we know at least he won't like shrink from the moment. That said, if you kind of look at him this year, the one inning that's given him trouble is actually the first inning, right, in his start. So, coming in cold like that, is he going to be able to, right? This is something that he's never done before. Sasaki has never, until last week that he pitched those 2, made those 2 relief appearances in AAA. He had never pitched in relief in his life. So they're at a very, very desperate state right now. I mean, my feeling is that no option is a good one at this point. They're probably, like let's just theoretically say they do get to the World Series somehow. My guess is that you're going to have, guys like Ohtani, Yamamoto, not just starting games, but maybe even closing out a game, a series or something, because I just don't know how they're going to fill up these innings. I know Alex Vesia has been like their most reliable guy. If there's one guy you're going to kind of designate as like, this is our guy in the bullpen, it's Alex Vesia. Well, he had to pitch the 8th inning yesterday, right? He had to face Marte and Carroll. I mean, that was kind of the meat of the lineup there. So you can't save him for the 9th in that situation. And I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, I think there's really not enough time to really kind of figure out what you got going on here. They brought in Jack Dreyer, who's looked pretty good kind of in low leverage situations. They pitched him in kind of a pressure situation last night. He gave up runs. Edgardo Enriquez certainly has like I would say the presence of a future closer. He's pretty fastball dominant at this point, and he's looked good in low leverage situations. Do you want to bring this young kid in the 9th? I don't know. And again, I think they're going to need some luck. To kind of figure this out on the fly, probably because they're going to, one or two of these experiments could go really, really wrong.
First of all, Dylan, Yamamoto's not throwing on anything but 6 days rest. He ain't closing jack out. That guy hasn't seen a mound outside of his 6 days of rest that he gets. But secondly, why do we need to have this conversation? They have the best starting rotation. Will the Dodgers allow those guys to stay in the game, unlike every other year that we've seen the Dodgers, where it's like, 5 and dive, see you later? Is Dave Roberts going to completely flip the analytical switch and go, Glasnow, Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Shohei, you guys have been nails the last month. We're keeping you in for 6, maybe even 7 or 8 innings.
I don't think he has a choice, right? And, one thing I've kind of been telling people is I think, in a way, Roberts might be getting set up almost for a Grady Little moment, right? I mean, if anything, kind of the irony here is, right, up until this point, Roberts has been criticized a lot for pulling the starters too early. Obviously, there's input from the front office. I mean, he's not making these decisions on his own. But, kind of in this hypothetical situation, let's be honest, right? Blake Snell, as good as he is in the playoffs, he's kind of like a 5-inning pitcher. Right? Let's hypothetically say you're in the 6th inning now, and your option is to continue to go with Blake Snell or bring in Edgardo Enriquez, who again is kind of a very talented but pitcher with like a fairly limited arsenal at this point. My guess is that a lot of times now he's going to kind of lean on these starting pitchers to kind of get through that inning, and I could see this just the way the game has evolved and everything, that could also kind of backfire. We don't see guys, I mean, the game has changed for a reason, right? I mean, you got all these guys coming out of the bullpen throwing 100. You kind of change them up according to kind of the matchups. Guys obviously do better, second time through the lineup, third time through the lineup. And I do kind of wonder if Roberts is going to be in a position where he's going to, have to kind of bet on the starter just because of the lack of alternatives here.
Dylan, how big of a deal is it that they're going to have to play the wild card round for the first time in a while here? They're going to have to play those 3 extra games, whether it's against the Mets, the Reds, the Diamondbacks, whoever that 6th seed is. How important is that? Because that is just more innings on – if Shohei's lined up to be the game 1 guy, it's more innings on Shohei, more innings on Yamamoto, more innings on Snell, more innings on Glass now, right? They've always been able to kind of just skip to the next – we'll just skip to the next round, right? We'll fast forward through that. You only have to worry about 3 series. Now they're going to possibly have to worry about 4 series.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's, right. I mean, it's baseball, 3-game series, anything can happen, first of all, right? And not only is it more innings for the starters, it's also more innings that the bullpen's going to have to cover. I mean, every time you go to the bullpen, there's a chance that something really, really bad is going to happen, and I think too, what's going to be kind of scary here for them is, how do they line up their starting pitchers for that wild card series? Obviously there's one idea that you go Snell, Yamamoto, and then you kind of save Ohtani for game 3, basically hoping that you don't have to use him at all in that wild card round, or that if you do, maybe you use him as a reliever to kind of close out game 2. But what if you lose those 2 games? I mean, are you going to really end your season with Shohei Ohtani not pitching? That's a problem, right? I mean, we always kind of talk about you want to lose at least with your guys out there. So yeah, it also kind of adds this kind of layer of decision making, which, if anything, right? I mean, I think there's been a lot of conversation how smart this front office is, and I think to some degree they've earned that reputation. But they've also had a penchant for overthinking at times, and this is the type of situation actually where I could see them thinking themselves out of starting Ohtani in one of those first 2 games, and potentially even losing again with him not even having thrown a pitch in that series.
Wow. Hey, I wanted to get a question in.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Ohtani's got to start game 1. He's been their best pitcher.
Yeah, and he's lined up for it.
He's lined up for it. I mean, he threw 6 innings last night. He's lined up for it. It hasn't been affecting his offense as much as it has in the past.
Right.
I mean, if I'm them, I go Ohtani, Snell, Yamamoto, or some form of those 3 because they've been your 3 best.
Well,
look, I would go Ohtani game 1 just to be clear. But I think if you also kind of look ahead in the schedule, you pitch game 1, you can pitch game 2 of the NLDS on 5 days rest. Then you can pitch that whoever starts that game 2 can come back for game 5 on 4 days rest, right? So if you look at their top 3 guys, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Snell, of that group, Snell is the only guy that's pitched on 4 days rest, even in his career, I think, So I think because of that, I wouldn't be shocked if they went with Snell with game 1, just to, again, because they're kind of trying to roll this out forward. But again, I agree with you. I think you got to throw your best guy first.
You got to win. You got to win that series. You can worry about the DS and the LCS if you don't win the wild card.
Yeah. And also, by the way, in the wild card, I mean, people are freaking out about the bullpen. You got to get through the wild card round. You don't have to use any of the guys that people are complaining about, Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, etc. Right? You could theoretically go, who are our best pitchers? Glasnow, Snell, Ohtani, maybe Kershaw, Emmett Sheehan. You could just combine all those guys and have them pitch. We've seen it plenty of times before, right?
I mean, Kershaw, what they do with Kershaw is fascinating too. Whatever they figure out, whatever they decide to do with him is
bullpen. I
know, but imagine him coming in last game ever and he's closing out the World Series.
Crazy, but it could happen, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he was in the bullpen yesterday, and I, from what Dave Roberts said afterwards, sounds like he's going to be in the bullpen again today. My guess is that they're going to give him a trial run out there, and again, given their options, at least, Roberts kind of went on, post game talking about how he thinks his relievers are pitching afraid, right? And I think kind of the one thing with Clayton Kershaw that, whatever the result, he does not pitch afraid. I mean, even a couple years ago when he had that start in the NLDS against the D-backs, I mean, right, he knew he was going to have shoulder surgery, at the end of that season. Kind of doesn't matter. He will go out there and at least he will attack. And I think you can, if that doesn't work out, I think you can kind of live with it, right? As opposed to, kind of the performance that we saw from Tanner Scott last night where, he hit a guy, then walks a guy. I mean, I don't think people want to see that.
Obviously, the fear is that the bullpen has to get a lot of innings for the Dodgers. But one position that we didn't talk about is Will Smith. Will Smith missing significant time at the end of the season, going into the playoffs. How big of a loss is this? Because in my opinion, right now he is the best hitting catcher in the National League.
Yeah, definitely offensively it takes away a lot, right? And I think, the fact that, Max Muncy's missed a bunch of time. Teoscar Hernandez has kind of been up and down, right? Each one of those guys that you can stack, it really kind of lengthens the lineup and it kind of changes the feel even, right? I mean, I think, obviously, I think the opposing pitcher, no matter what, you're going to be kind of cautious there at the top of the lineup with Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. But, to me, what's made the Dodgers offense as special as it is in recent years is the fact that after that, you do have Will Smith, right? You do have Max Muncy. You do have, Teoscar Hernandez, with Tommy Edmonds in there, right? He's a tough at bat. And so, yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And, Will Smith is one of those guys. I mean, we've seen it this year. If the other guys aren't hitting, he's a guy that can win a game for you by himself with his bat. So, yeah, that's going to be that is going to be kind of a big thing. And, again, it's one thing, I think, if your pitching was all fine and you were confident that you could, hold the other team to, we're not going to give up any more than 2-3 runs. You don't know that now, right? I mean, they might have to they're in this position now where they might have to outslug their opponents. And if that's the case, obviously you take out, like you said, the best hitting catcher, one of the best hitting catchers in baseball, that's going to kill you.
Hey, Dylan, great insight. Thank you for joining us. And I guess we'll finish on a high note. Dodger fans, you won the World Series last year, and you're going to make the playoffs.
They're going to win the division again. They're up 2, and they have the tiebreaker, so they're going to win the division.
Yeah,
they're going to get home playoff games. After that, we don't know.
Yep, exactly. Dylan, thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, follow Dylan at Dylan O. Hernandez. Check out his work in the LA Times and his podcast North and South. Hey, Bruce Bochy apparently was calling out his team's focus and intensity. It kind of sounded like he felt as if they were giving up. But once they were swept by the Astros, it was done. So is he talking about during that time period, or is he talking about like now where who cares? Mathematically, they just got eliminated.
Mathematically, they were alive. But, yeah,
Whatever.
You still have to play it like you can win.
Yeah.
I mean, they've lost
they fell apart. The Marlins dusted them, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But this is Boch just sending a message like, hey, we need to be better than this.
Okay.
I don't think – I think this is Boch, if he comes back next year, sending a message like, hey, guys, we need to be better. Now they're without Seager. They're without Simeon. I mean, the little rascals can only do so much.
Yeah, Evaldi is not with them right now. Yep.
Do you think it was directed at the players currently in their last 5 games? I don't think it was just a one-game thing, or do you think it was kind of what we've wondered all year about the Rangers? Like, how focused are they on winning games? We've heard a lot of stuff about guys being focused on their individual stuff, and then when the game happens, hey, you know what? We all come out and we play together, and then we go back to our individual stuff. Was it a larger comment, or was it just recently I've seen you guys not playing very well and I'm calling you out right now? Because if that's the case, he's calling out a bunch of dudes with not a lot of experience.
No playoffs the last couple of years after winning a World Series in 2023. Yeah, it is interesting. It does feel like something's missing there. The comments from Jock Peterson were super interesting if you try and read between the lines. He felt like it was a very different atmosphere there and had to get adjusted.
That's what everybody said.
You get a lot of these.
Didn't Kevin Pillar say this on our show?
Yes.
And it was different than any other team he'd been on?
And
got crushed for it?
For what? For saying it feels different? It's pathetic that people went after that. If you look back, it's pathetic. What? He said it felt different? Ooh. Who cares? Oh. He's also just being truthful, and then someone on the team said the same damn thing just now. I thought it was
CY took offense to it. So there's something, like if somebody brings something up that's like not even a thing, like you'd be like, what is that guy talking about? But even CY, Chris Young, came out and was like, oh, what he said, he didn't really realize it, but it could hurt the feelings of the guys here. And it's like, so are you saying he's not wrong? What are you saying?
Also, you need people to come into a clubhouse and tell it like it is. It's been a thing for years. Somebody's got to say it.
That's why you bring bets.
Hot corner time. Mariners were going to take the division and a postseason spot. Technically, they don't have the division yet. Their magic number is 1. They score 3 in the 8th. Naylor with the big knock. He's been an awesome pickup, as expected. I've always been a big Naylor guy. So they beat the Rockies 4-3. They pop bottles. They celebrate. But wait, there's more. We all like to party, at least us 3 on this show. AJ, they have an opportunity for back-to-back champagne popping celebrations, and they will live it up to the fullest because the Mariners don't get to do this as a franchise very often.
They haven't won the division since they won 116 games.
2001.
When I played against that team was ridiculously good and didn't win crap in the postseason.
No.
But good for the Mariners. Good for the Mariners fans. I'll see you guys ALDS game 1 more than likely out in Seattle. I can't wait. And then Sunday I get to go watch the Bucks play the Seahawks. Hopefully double dip that day. I'm looking forward to my trip out west. I love Seattle. I love the fans out there. I love the ballpark. And listen, they're 4 up with 5 to play. They're not losing that division, and they have this tiebreaker. So they're 5 up with 5 to play. Really.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's why the magic number is 1. So
yeah,
it's over. Congratulations, Mariners. Congratulations, Seaman. You guys have won the West.
That's a funny word. But you have to celebrate both. As a team, like when you celebrate making the playoffs because that's hard to do. You work the whole season for it. When you win the division, you celebrate a little harder. You get the guys, and then you realize that the last 4 games, because I think it'll happen tonight, the last 4 games, you're getting your lineup set. I don't know if Cal Raleigh catches another game. I wouldn't, especially with what happened to JT last night. JT Realmuto took that foul ball off his hand. You just I don't know how you play it, but celebrate it, and I hope it happens tonight.
I hope it does too for my lock.
Someone in the chat. Does this panel talk about the Mariners at all? Oh my gosh! You're the
biggest Mariner lover of all time.
If I had a penny,
Mariners and the Pirates, you love, Scott.
Let me tell you, if I had a penny for every comment that I get across all social media platforms, you don't talk about this team enough. You don't talk about that team enough. I think it's endearing because it just means they're paying attention. They would like more love, but there are 30 teams. We don't talk about them all equally. We follow the storylines.
We don't talk about the Rockies. We don't talk about the White Sox.
We did a lot at the beginning of the year.
We don't talk about them because they haven't been very good. We talk about when they're relevant.
Yeah, well, they were relevant.
It's like this. It's when you do a game. When we do the postseason games coming up, okay? Whoever I have, last year Phillies and Mets, whoever team is winning, that's the team you talk about because they're doing things that make them win. So guess what you say? Hey, the Mets are winning. Mets beat the Phillies because this happened. Oh, why do you hate the Phillies? Well, the Phillies didn't play very well and they lost.
Right.
So I can't pump them up. Right? You can't pump up the Phillies if they're not doing. It's the same thing here. Why we can talk about the Rockies?
How about last night's game?
We talk about the Rockies more than any other show.
Last night's game with the Mets and the Cubs. If you were doing that game nationally, you'd be smashing the Mets early on for all of the defensive mistakes, and then you would praise them, and then you'd smash the Cubs because you'd be like, "Why is Horton out?" And look at the bullpen blowing it again. Blah blah blah. That is just how it works to cover things nationally.
Let's not say this, but and Mark said it best here. But like the Astros, oh man, they fall apart, and the Tigers are like, "Thank you, Astros."
That's the thing. This Tigers collapse
should probably be out, but the Astros have done nothing to help their cause.
This Tigers collapse has a really nice landing spot,
which is the 3rd wild card to go play Cleveland again if they lose the division,
and they could beat them there.
It's amazing. The Astros are banged up like nobody's business, but they got Hunter Brown going tonight. They got Fromber going tomorrow. I mean, they've got what they need, and they're playing Sacramento. Severino tonight doesn't pitch well in Sacramento, so they got to win 1 before they can win 2.
They kind of have to
win every game.
Yeah, I mean, so they have 5 left. They have to win at least 4 of those.
Yeah, because they don't have the tiebreaker.
They don't have the tiebreaker on anyone. Like, even if Boston falls apart the next few games, because Boston and Detroit are going to play each other, they don't have the tiebreaker on them either. So this is hairy for Houston. I mean, the only thing they do have, AJ, is on paper, not difficult teams that they're facing, right? But the A's right now are playing pretty well. They're hitting. So they beat them yesterday. So they got to take down the A's these next couple games. Then they have the Angels, not a good team right now. You should be able to beat up on the pitching.
4 out of 5, if not 5 out of 5.
And then they need Detroit or Boston to get swept because they play each other at the end of the year. That would be the big help for them. Yeah. So
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think so
because
either.
If Boston's already got it locked up, they might not. They might be like, we already got our playoffs locked up.
Well, if that's the case.
Although what's interesting about what I just said about me going to Seattle is it won't be guaranteed if the Red Sox are the 6th seed. Like if Detroit goes in there and beats them and takes over the 5 seed from the Red Sox, which is a real possibility, then then I'd have to wait to find out where I'm going.
Because of Boston?
Because New York, because Toronto is the wild card.
Toronto doesn't have the division yet either.
If New York wins the division, then I know I'm not going to New York.
Right. So there's a lot still to be decided is how we would sum things up. We also, I do want to get this in there on the Red Sox. So they won yesterday. We talked with Ken about the whole fair foul thing. That was one of the most unlucky sequences, by the way. So, hey, Red Sox get the job done. They win the game. But that's 2 runs right there that went against the Toronto Blue Jays for a ball that was fair, called foul, Kratz. And then later in the at-bat, a pitch, 2 baseballs off the plate is called a strike. Springer's like, okay, uncle, what are we doing here? This is not baseball.
I mean, his not comment, but caught mouthing. Oh, why don't they just give it to New York? Shows they're looking. They're playing like this. They're like, who is trying to catch it? What? It's the Yankees? Oh, Major League Baseball totally wants the Yankees to get in. We're totally screwed. But it was a funny comment. To me, funny comment from Springer.
I agree. And so for the Red Sox, they win. Chapman, of course, nails down another save. He's been money.
Giolito pitched awesome.
Yep, Giolito pitched well.
Get Crochet.
Well, there you go. Astros lose. Red Sox lead them by 2 games in the wild card standings. This is Tim Healy. They own the tiebreaker. Basically a 3-game lead with 5 to go. Can we also show the Tim Healy tweet about Roman Anthony? Because it doesn't give Red Sox fans a ton of hope until probably the ALCS. So here's Craig Breslow leading the front office on Roman Anthony. At first, you could look at him and tell that he was in quite a bit of discomfort and pain that has subsided, but there's still quite a bit of room to get to in terms of baseball activity. Tim Healy, who covers the team, said his read is ALCS is extreme best case scenario, not guaranteed. Offense is different without him in there. I know he's a rookie, but he was the one guy that was really
pushing him to try to get back and help your offense. Maybe
as a DH?
Yeah, or just to get him because you need him in the lineup. Wouldn't you think that they'd be trying everything in their power, saying, all right, well, geez, we need like Kyle Schwarber style, like we need him in our lineup just no matter what he does.
But an oblique?
But
you
if he
said
hurts
that
it
hurts.
again, you just put him on the IL. If he hurts it the first game, you just put him back on the IL and say, oh, he's done for the year. But at least try.
I think they are trying. I think it just takes time.
I just feel like sometimes, this is like, all right, well, we're already looking at next year and we want him good for, I don't know. It's a weird, because most teams right now are trying to get their guys back. Especially their big guys.
Isaac Paredes is playing with like
one leg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Francisco Alvarez has 8 fingers instead of 10.
Yeah.
He's like broken 2 fingers and he's catching every day.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Again,
I
can't say how injured guys are.
I don't know the oblique. I mean, you do. You said it was really tough, but
yeah.
But also you came back. What was it during the season when you had it? Like, was it in the middle of a season or was it the end?
I did it in April, May-ish.
And what, you missed like 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Right. So this is more of a month track.
10 days with it, which is a bad idea.
Right. But that's the thing. They're like, we don't want to do that. We got a lot of money invested in this guy, and we don't want to come back with him as a shell of himself.
Yeah, but it's the playoffs, man. I don't know.
And another injury, another oblique. How hard do you push Jeremy Pena? The team is offense is completely different without him in it. He's a 300 hitter in the middle of that lineup, let alone the fact that he plays shortstop. So other teams are going through this right now. Boston, I hope Boston doesn't say, I think Roman Anthony's injury is pretty significant, clearly. But I would hope they wouldn't say, we got to save him. We got to make sure he's healthy for the rest of his career. If there's any chance, I think they're bringing him back. I truly do.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when. I mean, do you have to be in the ALCS or even potentially the World Series until he can get himself back? It's a tall task.
I know.
Yeah.
Especially with
Freddie didn't play every game. Freddie didn't play every game. Freddie Freeman didn't play every game last year for the Dodgers because of his ankle. Like, that's how he was playing through it, and he wouldn't play every game, which was crazy to me, the fact that he still was able to play and win the MVP in the World Series.
Mm-hmm. Different injuries, though.
I love people in the chat are telling me that Lucas Giolito last night was not good.
How?
I mean,
the final line was good. No, what was he? Was he 4 or 5?
4 2/3, 1 run, 3 hits. I mean, he walked 4 guys, but they scored 1 run.
Well, because
he was better than Gausman, who gave up 4?
Is it because he gave up the 2 runs but didn't, and they're saying it
Those
got
don't
robbed?
count.
It doesn't matter. It
Those
doesn't
don't count.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't get. What are you talking about? He was good.
Yeah, he was
He
good,
wasn't
and
great, but he was good enough to win.
And he's been great for them.
Yeah,
he's been great for them.
Come on.
And with their bullpen, you're glad you get 4 2/3. You're not pushing them any farther. That's how it's going to go in the playoffs. You're only pushing Garrett Crochet. Bayo gives you 4 innings. You're going to that bullpen. I know they've had a blip recently, but you're going to that bullpen.
Agreed. They've got a great bullpen. We're going to go over pitching staffs tightening up for the playoffs and some rankings later. Zack Meisel covering the Guardians coming up next.
Hey guys, like you said, we love you. Might as well go win the whole fucking thing.
Hey, Kyle, language.
You just punch the postseason. Who cares? They've been there once.
Oh, I don't give a
in
fuck.
the last 24 years.
Yeah, kidding.
Say whatever you want, dude. And by the way, you don't like it? Good for you, Cal.
Yep.
Plus, you got 58 homers.
I can't tell what you guys are saying, but we'll reset you. And he is – I thought that was Julio Rodriguez's town. Clearly, this is Cal Raleigh's town. And I hope Julio's fine with that. I hope it takes a little bit of pressure off and he can be second half Julio like he is every year and doesn't need to feel the pressure. But Cal has taken over the Northwest.
Hey, we're back. Zack Meisel joining us right now from The Athletic, covering a Cleveland team that is very much back in the thick of things. Zack, thanks for joining us. And what is your reaction to what you've been seeing here over the past couple weeks? Because it happened really fast, as we mentioned. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they were almost 10 games back.
Yeah, I was actually in a debate last night with Jeff Passan because we were talking about what's the best arbitrary endpoint to make this sound as insane as possible. Like 15 and a half games back in the division sounds like a ton, but that's what they were in early July, right? If you say, I argued 11 games back, I think 19 days ago, that to me seems the craziest arbitrary endpoint you could pick. So it doesn't matter when you pick it, but it's the last 3 weeks really that this has completely flipped the script. And it's hard to explain. Like that 6th inning last night, you're sitting there thinking, what is happening? How is this happening? But that's been the last 3 weeks, whether you're in Detroit or you're in Cleveland or you're just watching at home with your feet up in neither city, enjoying the collapse and the comeback.
So which is it more? Is it more of a collapse or more of a comeback?
So the fact that these teams kind of did this last year too, right? Like the Tigers were on the other end of it. Almost makes me think it's more of a collapse just because they should know better. Like they did this last year, right? They were on the other side of it. And I do think the fact that these teams have played each other during this stretch plays into that. I mean, once, I'm curious to see how the Tigers look tonight coming out of it, because it felt like that was set up for them to break out of their swoon. You've got Skubal on the mound after an off day. You can kind of regroup, and you guys know this, like you can go one of two directions. You can either dwell on what's happened and freak out about what might happen, or you can clear your head and come back to the ballpark and move forward. But, the fact that the Guardians got that one last night, did so in the fashion that they did it, that I lean a little more toward collapse, but mostly just because at no point in the first 5 months of the season did the Guardians demonstrate that this was possible. So I don't know. There's no point in explaining it. It's just, let's all be along for the ride.
But before I dig too deep, how's Fry? Have we had an update on David Fry yet from last night? Because that was one of the scariest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, nothing official. We'll get the official word within the next hour. It sounds like, given what happened, I don't want to say good news, but, like what you would expect and kind of hope for is the case. There's no getting out of the way of a 99-mile-an-hour fastball when you're squaring to bunt like that. So obviously that left some damage. But I think for the purposes of, they kept him overnight at the Cleveland Clinic main campus. And, I think he's doing well based on actually just – you want the update live? I could read it to you. Multiple minimally displaced left-sided facial and nasal fractures. So he's expected to fully recover in the next 6 to 8 weeks and not need surgery. There you go.
That's huge. That's that's answer to prayer. That's huge when you see something like that happen. Let's get to the environment last night. Let's get to, we know that this team is carrying the city on its back. The stadium looked like it was a playoff atmosphere. They were standing with a runner on third and one out, and Arias was up. They were standing in situations where in the regular season, it's a little amped when it's a Skubal game. You're trying to face the best pitcher in the game. But what was the atmosphere like? And did they have I heard they had a ton of walk-ups, ticket purchases. Did that make or was there something else that they did with getting fans in the stands?
Yeah, I mean, they had almost 30,000 last night. And I can tell you, usually this time of year, there's a football team that plays down the street, and no matter what their record is, that's all this city pays attention to from July until, till after the draft, since they're usually in prominent draft position. So this time of year, usually we have a main interview room for pregame and postgame, and you're looking around there, and I feel like I'm usually one of 3 or 4 reporters, and I just caught myself last night. I couldn't find a seat, and that never happens, right? In the playoffs it does, but for a regular season game, that was new. And so you could have tricked yourself into believing that this was game one of the ALDS or a wild card series. I mean, the place was electric. There are actual stakes this week. Both teams reorganized their rotations to make sure it was Skubal against Gavin Williams. And, the way that game unfolded, it was nuts. The atmosphere was awesome. So they're hopeful that there will be more of that. I know that Friday, they could be flirting with a sellout against the Rangers. They're expecting decent crowds tonight and tomorrow. So, credit to the city of Cleveland. I think they've bought in a hurry, just with how quickly the season has turned around.
Well, good for the people of Cleveland, and good for the Guardians on making this a race and keeping it alive. How would you even describe this pitching staff, though, with what they've done? Gavin Williams, big rig, then Tanner Bybee, Parker Messick's going on Thursday tomorrow, and the rest of this entire staff. What is it, 18 or 19 games? The starters have given up 2 runs or less, or 16, 17-2 in that stretch. What flipped for these guys? Because Cade Smith's been unbelievable in the back end. The rest of the bullpen's been unbelievable. What flipped, especially for these starters?
Yeah, so Slade Ciccone said it the best, because 2 weeks ago he carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning, and then a few days later he was reflecting back on it, and he's like, man, that was the 3rd best start we've had this week. There's some friendly competition there. It feels like everybody is putting forth, the best start that they've ever made in their career. Tanner Bybee threw a complete game shutout that week. Joey Cantillo went 8 scoreless. Some people watching are asking who Joey Cantillo is. It's hard to explain. It's some of it is a guy like Gavin Williams, who's had tantalizing stuff, 1st-round draft pick, top 100 prospect. This is what we expected. It just takes young pitchers time to get there sometimes. So there's that. There are guys like Parker Messick, who's made 6 career starts and doesn't know any better. And maybe that blissful ignorance can help you. When you join a team cruising like this and everybody else is pitching really well, you don't want to be the guy that messes that up, right? And then there's one person who, I don't know if he gets enough credit. Maybe he does. I probably not, though. And he's overseen 5 Cy Young winners, and his name is Carl Willis, and he's the pitching coach. And he's a guy in his mid-60s who has seen some of the best pitchers in the world, and is still like Joey Cantillo goes 8 scoreless inning. It's the best start of his life. And Carl Willis is so giddy about it that at 1 a.m. he's texting Joey Cantillo, telling him how proud he is of him. This is a guy who has helped Felix Hernandez win a Cy Young Award. CC Sabathia praised Carl Willis all summer when doing interviews about the Hall of Fame. And, Willis is just he's a big reason why Cleveland has had the reputation of boasting that pitching factory for years and years, and he's a big part of why.
They could never produce any bullpen guys, but man, could they produce some starters? And now they're producing both. And Carl is legit. Is this team set up for the rest of the year to finish this thing up? Are they set up for these last 5 games to finish this thing out?
I think they are. I have no idea what will happen beyond that, because even this has been just ridiculous, right? But they are. I mean, they had, I think the weekend helped them a lot. They took 3 of 4 in Minnesota. They had a doubleheader where the only relievers they used in their doubleheader were 2 long relievers, like the last guys in the bullpen. And so everybody got a breather. And if you watch Cade Smith last night, he was 1 strike away from an immaculate inning. So those guys are well rested now. The pitching's lined up. If they need Gavin Williams in game 162, they've got him on regular rest. So, yeah, they're in really good position here to win the division, or at worst get a wild card. And then who knows? I counted them out 15 times during the regular season. So I've learned my lesson. I'll shut up and I'll just enjoy the ride.
Zach, it's a fun ride to follow. Here's my question for you. I know that this team has to be balling on a budget at all times, and they've done a brilliant job of being competitive for a long period of time. Do you think that they should be pushing chips in a little bit more during times like this? Last year they make the ALCS. This year it's a really great story, but does anyone think that they're going to win the World Series with the lineup that they're throwing out there, that they're going to get through all of October and get past everyone else? So my question is, when they've been able to build such a brilliant bullpen, right? One of the better bullpens that has been around, in decades, I would say, over the last couple of years. Have they not capitalized enough by just at least dipping their toes a little bit into the free agent market for some bat help?
Yeah, I mean, in 2016, they reached the World Series, and then they signed Edwin Encarnacion, who was one of the top sluggers on the free agent market. And they came back in 2017. They won 102 games, and they were the World Series favorites, and then collapsed in the ALDS. That happens. It's baseball, right? They've kind of been scared of their own shadow ever since then. They haven't made moves like that since then. And they're typically in this position where they're a contender. They're usually on top or right near the top of the AL Central. And it would take catching lightning in a bottle to win a World Series. It's been 77 years since they won a title, right? Like when the Cubs were at this point, it's all anyone would talk about. And I think in Cleveland, there was a lot of frustration, especially once they were 40-48, that they didn't go out and add to a lineup over the winter that everybody could see wasn't good enough last year when they went to the ALCS. So, yeah, I think you can compartmentalize and say this is a great run. It's a great story right now. And part of the reason, at least in Cleveland, I don't think many people are moaning about payroll today is because you've resigned yourself to the fact that for 5 months, it looked like this was going to be a rotten season that was going to end in a frustrating fashion. It just so happens that they caught fire, and it might not happen that way. And then I'm sure when the season does end, we'll be right back talking about payroll, how you can build off this, and not repeating the mistakes you repeated last winter.
Well, it looks like right now, if they get into the postseason, they didn't make any mistakes. That's what they'll tell everybody. We can do whatever we want. So that's the thing. But the key ingredient to this for the last couple of years for me has been Stephen Vogt. We had Hammy on the other day, and I asked him this question: can Stephen Vogt win back-to-back American League Manager of the Years, and does he deserve to win it? Much like you can make the argument Pat Murphy deserves to win back-to-back in the National League.
So it's funny. I actually talked to Stephen Vogt about this recently. He was out in public earlier this summer, and someone stopped him and recognized him, and they said something along the lines of like, "Man, bet you wish it was as easy as it looked last year." And Vogt was like, "Okay, it wasn't easy last year. I know we won the AL Central. I know we reached the ALCS, but he was getting his feet wet. He was learning how to do the job. He was learning how to navigate through 162 games with new players and new responsibilities and a new coaching staff. And he's the guy in charge. He's the guy that has to answer to everything." And he's stressed like that was not easy. It might have looked like that on the outside, but it wasn't easy. And I think the biggest takeaway is it prepared him for a season like this, where they've had so much adversity, losing streaks, the gambling stuff. They traded Shane Bieber. They contemplated trading Stephen Kwan, and he had to keep that clubhouse together, and he did it. And he was able to do it because there is that bond there between manager and players that he established last year. And he got to know these guys, and they trusted him, and they knew he cared about them. And so if you don't have the growing pains and the learning curves that they went through last year that might not have been as visible to the public because they were winning games, you wouldn't have been able to get through what they went through this year. So if you want to vote for him for Manager of the Year, it's probably a good case, right? But you shouldn't be, as we compare the job he's done this year to last year, like it's both had their unique challenges. They're just very different challenges.
I asked him when I was there last week, I said, "Voter, are you going to win Manager of the Year again?" Or I said, "What's it feel like to be the Manager of the Year?" And he's like, "I'm not Manager of the Year." I'm like, "You're the reigning champ right now, so you have to take it." And he's like, "Okay, I'll live with that for a couple more weeks." So I think, listen, will he ever say that it means a lot to him? But I feel like it would mean a lot for him to do it again, especially with the way this team, what they've been through, 15 and a half games back. Here they are in first place. It's a pretty remarkable story.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's crazy. We didn't know what to expect. And I know I talked to a lot of guys who played with Voter, and they said all the right things. And if you examined his career, the fact that he was DFA'd, he was traded, he was never a top prospect. Like, he had a coaching mindset from the very beginning. He was sitting in A-ball. He's 25 years old. He's a backup catcher. And he knew, like, the odds of him even reaching the major leagues were not great. So he had to figure out, okay, well, what can I learn? What can I take away from this? And he always wanted to get into coaching anyway. So Why not start thinking like a coach when you were in the minor leagues? And it just so happened he turned into a 2-time All-Star. He won a World Series. So he experienced everything, and that allows him to relate to everyone. And I think you've seen that, right? Like, he knows when to just hand the keys over to Jose Ramirez or Austin Hedges to lead everybody. He knows when he needs to say the right thing to the right person or empower another coach. And, they've established a good culture here. This season has thrown a lot at them. And I think that's what makes what they've done this month just more incredible.
Hey, Zach, awesome having you on here. I didn't even realize it because I feel like I know you, but on here for the first time. So thanks for stopping by. It's very good timing. I know you were like, you know what? I want to wait until the Guardians come back from one of the most improbable deficits of all time to take over first place in the division.
Plus, you wanted it to be two great Indians' birthdays, Ben Broussard and John McDonald today.
Ooh.
So, I mean,
Johnny Mac's been around the team the last couple of weeks. He might be the good luck charm. He got them the number 1 pick last year. Remember, he was their rep. So might be something there.
That's right. Yeah, lottery. It's a big deal. You got to have your good luck charm for the lottery. Zach, thank you so much. This was great. Appreciate the time.
You got it, guys. Take care.
You too. Check out Zach's work in The Athletic. He is excellent. A great read. BetMGM Locks yesterday, not great. We had a pretty strong last week and a half, so you're going to get one of these. But wait. Someone is emerging over the last couple weeks. Erik Kratz on a heater picks up his strikeout props with Skubal and Gavin Williams. Williams was a no-sweater. That was in the first 2 or 3 innings. He was already nailing his strikeout prop. Good job, Kratz. You're at 276 down. I'm down 79. AJ's down 337, Pap's up 387. So I got to say, we've done some impressive work. Some of us have been down quite a bit, but we're picking up steam here late to try and get ourselves level or in the green before we reset for the playoffs. Kratz, you can go first.
I got another over in strikeouts. Tanner Bybee, I need 6 from him. He's hit that in the last 4 starts against the Tigers, so I need 6 or more. And Stephen Kolek, facing the Angels. Nobody strikes out more than the Angels, and all he needs is 5. He hit 8 in his last start, so it's plus 186, putting down 200. I need to see green.
I like it, Kratz. I like it. I'm telling that. What about you?
I'm going the West needs to win. Seattle and Houston, both going to win. That's it. The money line straight up. Hunter Brown's pitching against Severino, and Castillo's pitching against the Rockies. And it's just the fact that it's the Rockies in Seattle. So that gets me to plus 132. I'm betting 300 to get me into the positives too, because I only got one more day to bet in the regular season after today. So
that's true.
If I don't win today, it's going to be a big one tomorrow.
Going big on a Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I like both of those. So for me, I looked at the Mets and the Cubs, and I see the total at 7. Tong, who's got an ERA in the 5s, and I know it's only been a handful of starts. Matt Boyd has had a great year, but second half hasn't been as good. I think the Mets offense is clicking here, and I do think the Cubs will scratch some runs together against what should be a depleted Mets bullpen. I don't even care. I didn't even look at the wind. Am I missing something there?
By the hook. By the hook, people.
By the hook and go 8.
Blowing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's blowing in if it's at 7 for this matchup. No?
I don't know.
Gotta be. So, whatever. I'm going 230.
Always check the wind before you make a decision.
I usually do, but I didn't here. 230 to win 200. And check out the first bet offer. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, to get up to $1,500 paid back in bonus bets if you don't win that first bet when you sign up. Again, using that bonus code FOUL. Deposit at least $10 into your account and place your first wager on any game. Use that code. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Derek Jeter, number 2.
Hey, we have FT breaking news. It's coming from Jeff Passan. The Nationals finalizing a deal to name Paul Toboni their new head of baseball operations Toboni is 35 years old. He was a quick riser through the Red Sox front office to become assistant GM. He is in consideration for their GM job under Craig Breslow. That's going on right now. So he was in the running for that, but the Nats were like, hey, dude, want to run the front office instead of being the number 2? And he said yes. More from Passan. For a Nationals team in need of a serious infusion of talent, it's worth noting that he ran the draft for Boston when they chose Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, Christian Campbell, Peyton Tolley, Connolly Early, and the prospects who went to Chicago in the Garrett Crochet deal. That is a monster performance over the last half decade.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about him. Congratulations.
I've been reading about him. So Ken Rosenthal and Britt Giroli have a story out. It just came out 2 minutes ago. I'm kind of learning as we go here more about the entire situation. Highly encourage you to check out the story. They've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes on all of this. But essentially, that was the offer, Kratz. I think he would have gotten the GM job as the real number 2 guy behind Craig Breslow. But for him, he gets to be the number 1 guy. Remember, they also have Mike DiBartolo, who is the interim GM. I don't know where he stands. Sometimes a guy will keep someone like that on if he wants to stay, at least for now, because I don't think DiBartolo is getting a job elsewhere as the leader of a front office. So it helps the continuation process. But I think this is interesting. I mean, you certainly like the track record of this guy.
I mean, track records, he's had like 2 laps around the track. He is young for this position. I mean, obviously, Theo Epstein, he was really young. But I remember I was on the call when the Red Sox did the draft, and when I worked for the Red Sox, and him and Ricciardi were one of the guys that were like kind of leading up the call. And I was just listening, and I remember thinking, man, these guys are young. JP Ricciardi's kid, I forget his first name. But Paul was on that call, and I was like, it's amazing how young these guys are. But man, do they get after it. I don't think anybody that does amateur scouting, I feel like those guys don't sleep. It's like they eat and they type reports and they evaluate players.
Is it Dante, by the way?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I don't know. I just know
Dante
JP's,
and Mariano
JP's
are the kids. Yeah, those are the sons' names. Whatever.
Yeah.
Irrelevant.
I'm not sure.
But for Toboni, I mean, he was going up against some probably more notable names because they've been around for a while. So according to Ken and Britt's article, other executives under consideration included Dodgers Senior Vice President Josh Burns, Cleveland Guardians Assistant GM Matt Foreman, Cubs GM Carter Hawkins, and Diamondbacks Assistant GM Emmanuel Sade, as well as Red Sox Assistant General Manager Eddie Romero were also ones who interviewed. Although I think some of these names ended up turning the job down. I know you guys had Josh Barfield on the show last week, and he was in consideration but said no, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, hey, first off, I want to stop for a second, and I want to give a ton of credit to the Washington Nationals for doing something that is so stupidly obvious that you would think everyone in the top league for baseball in the world would do, but they don't. They interviewed a lot of candidates. Why? Because you want to gather intel. It is your opportunity to talk to people who have secrets and insights from what they're doing. It is a no-brainer when you have this opportunity. And not every organization does this. Most of them do because they have a brain, but some of them don't. It is a free opportunity for information, right? If somebody's super smart, who is at the top of their craft or at the top of their industry, AJ, came up to you and said, hey, do you want my free advice? I'll sit down and have a lunch with you, right? Let's say you're an aspiring CEO of a tech company and a tech company CEO says, hey, I'll have lunch with you. It's like saying, nah, I don't want to. I don't even want to talk to you. It is brain dead to do that. The Nationals took the correct route to talk to people. Even if they thought this was their guy all along, you still talk to 6, 7, 8 people. Why wouldn't you?
You can get, if I was in charge of a team, I'd say, all right, look at our organization and give me a folder full of your best ideas on how to fix this organization. And you could get a bunch of ideas and maybe one of them sticks. And maybe you hire them also as assistant GM if they get along with the guy you hire. I don't know, but it's a great way to steal free information. And I'm all about getting free information if you can get it for nothing.
Barfield, by the way, said no to Baltimore. That's my bad because there are a few different front office jobs open right now. The Red Sox are interviewing for their GM job, and that includes internal conversations. Craig Breslow is still the leader. They call it CBO with the Red Sox because they're special for some reason. Most teams call it president of baseball operations. But that's going on with the Orioles as they're looking for a GM next to Mike Elias, who's the president of baseball operations. But back to Toboni for a moment, Kratz. This is president of baseball operations. This isn't GM. There had been reports that they were looking for one or both. If they were going to pry him away from the Red Sox, it looked like it had to be not only the guy to run the front office, but for the label to be president of baseball operations. The Nats are one of the cheaper organizations when it comes to paying GMs and coaches, but still, I'm sure there's like a basement number, right? A baseline number where it's like, okay, even if we want to pay you at the bottom of the barrel for president of baseball operations, that's still going to be, higher than the GM number.
Yeah, the lowest president of baseball operations would be higher than the highest GM. And the names have changed. I mean, I remember when guys were hired as a GM, Sam Fuld was hired as a GM, and I was like, whoa, you're the general manager? And right at the same time, Dombrowski came in, and I was like, wait a minute. So teams have reshuffled that naming rights, but either way, are the Nats going to try to do something with their draft similar to what the Red Sox did? Is that what they're hoping for? Because the Nats really haven't produced guys in their draft. They've drafted 1-1s and they've traded for guys. You got to produce in the draft. You got to produce in the minor league system, and that's something the Nats haven't done.
Well, yeah, in Ken and Britt's article, they said the Nationals since 2013 have drafted and developed 2 players with career WARs above 5, and they're going off the Baseball Reference WAR. 2 players. Neither of those players are with the organization anymore. I don't think you'll get the names just because you'll go, oh, wow, I forgot.
Since
they were
when?
With the Nats.
Soto.
Wait, since when?
No, drafted. So I think he's counted as a sign.
Soto
yeah.
One?
I mean, that's where it gets a little tricky because they did get Soto, but
I guess he's not a draft.
They're talking about drafted players, and they're both pitchers that were in the organization. I don't think you're going to get either of them. I wouldn't right off the top. No, Strasburg was probably drafted before 2013.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So I'll give you the names. Nick Pivetta and Jesus Luzardo. That's it.
Not a chance.
Because I forgot both those guys were even with that organization.
I know. Now,
I didn't even know, did Pivetta even play for the Nationals ever?
I don't think so.
No, he went to the Phillies. and
Luzardo was traded too.
And Luzardo was traded. Now, they had a monster trade. They nailed their trade, in my mind, for Juan Soto. So it's not like they did nothing.
And that was DeBartolo. And people are going to say it was Rizzo, but from what I've heard from inside the organization, DeBartolo was key behind that Soto trade.
Okay. So now it's Paul Toboni. Just in summary, he had been promoted a billion times already within the Red Sox org. He's 35 years old. He gets to run the Washington Nationals. He'll probably have a new owner at some point over the next few years too. And I'm sure they'll want to keep him on board if he brings the success over drafting like he did with the Red Sox. So anyway, there's your breaking news. We'll be right back.
5-year plan.
10-year plan, maybe. All right, part 2 here for our BetMGM segment. We wanted to look at the American League pennant odds because I had talked the other day about Fangraphs saying that Seattle was the favorite now. Well, odds reflected as well. Plus 210 for Seattle. Toronto's at plus 320. New York's at plus 320. Then it's a huge drop-off. Boston plus 800. Detroit plus 900. Cleveland plus 1,000. Houston plus 1,600. Is there value on this board? I have one. What about Boston?
I was going to say Boston.
They're going to make it.
Boston is the one that stands out.
Yeah. They're going to make it. The bullpen's good enough. You have your horse. Value. Like, where can I make some serious cash? Boston, right?
You can make plus 320 for the team that was in the World Series last year and was built to win the World Series. I think that's mega cash.
That's fair.
Yeah. I just don't know why Seattle is so low. They've never won the American League pennant. So he should be around Boston's level. They've never won it.
They don't care about history. The numbers don't care.
Apparently not, but man.
They like their starting staff. They're pitching in general, and their offense is much better than it's been the last few years. And it's kind of a wide open American League.
It is.
For as much as we criticize, right. But for as much as we criticize, the flaws of some of these National League teams, I still think the National League is far superior. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Like we're going, what are the Dodgers going to do with their bullpen? But again, like they have a lot of good pitching talent. They might have to make some tough choices and sit some guys off of playoff rosters, but the guys who replace them could be great. I don't think that's the same case with some of the American League teams, which is why I think it's more wide open. That's my opinion. Sure, I call it National League bias, but I had the same thing last year, and I think most people would agree when you looked at the end of last year that there were at least 4 or 5 National League teams that were significantly better than the American League. I think it's more balanced this year, but just looking for value.
I like plus 320. I do. I mean, the Yankees are a good team, and they've been playing really good. Look at their last 20 games against bad teams. I get it, but they're supposed to bang, and they're banging.
They are. I agree. Hey, Parlay Boost token, go check it out. MLB Parlay Boost token available in the BetMGM app. You hook that to your bet slip, activate the token, score extra winnings if your wager was made with that boost token. Problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be right back for Slap. Right at the finish line for the TV crowd, then we'll stay online, but reveal yourself.
Obviously, it's a Phillies hat, but check out what Lids did. Don't adjust your screen. Don't adjust it. It's that upside down, John.
Wow.
I think it's pretty sick.
Yeah, if you need a rally,
it's like a musical note or a snake, like a cobra that's being charmed.
It does. I see the cobra. I see the cobra.
Everybody here knows that's that Philly P.
All right, we're back, FT fam. And by the way, could we show the code one more time just for Lids to shout them out? First day of the partnership with them. And we appreciate the little seamless transition as they're sponsoring some of our segments here heading into the postseason. Territory is the word 29017. If you want to go get yourself some new merch, apparel, headwear, etc., 20% off if you text that code. Okay, while we have a couple minutes here. What?
Another day I'm going to wear, they sell some Mitchell and Ness stuff too at Lids. I'll wear one of my Mitchell and Ness shirts. People kind of like it.
Yes. Next time we do a segment, let's see it. Want to show this Logan Webb tweet real quick? I haven't seen it, so we're all going to learn about it together.
He was not pleased.
He was not pleased. Actually, I can click into it like a normal person.
Pleased. He was just more disappointed.
He said, this is the most frustrating of all the times the Giants have missed the playoffs in his career. He said, no offense to the teams we've had before, but this is the most talented team I've been on. I think there were a lot of expectations, and it sucks.
Yeah, well, that's baseball for you. There's been good teams that miss the playoffs. I've been on them. There's been bad teams that make the playoffs. I've been on them.
If they didn't sell at the trade deadline, would that have made a difference to you?
I don't think they were expecting the Mets to collapse. They weren't going anywhere with the guys they had. So
500. They're so 500 for a long time.
But the division was there too. Padres haven't played as well. Dodgers clearly haven't played as well.
The division, they weren't going to get the division.
No.
The wild card was their path to the playoffs.
But the teams are beatable. Not unlike at the beginning of the year. I don't know if they're beatable or not, but they're returning a lot of guys. They're set up to make a run if they make the right moves. Get some offense, as we keep saying in San Fran.
Full season of Devers helps a ton. Willy Adames was scorched at the beginning of the year for his performance. If you actually look at his numbers now, they're pretty close to what he puts together almost every year. Like last year, he was a 3.1 WAR. This year, he's at 3.3, which is better than it's been since 2022. OPS plus 109. very close to what it's been the last few years.
Mhm.
Like, he's put up the same damn numbers, park adjusted, that he's done in the past. So I know there were fans all over his case. I don't think they should be anymore. Plus, he brings a lot of energy to the team. Him and Drew Gilbert in a clubhouse, that's a lot of talking.
Mhm.
And last but not least, I'm watching Skeens in green.
Of course.
Skeens is going to shove because this is the closest thing he's getting to a big playoff vibe, right?
Please don't pull him out early. Please, Don Kelly, don't, whatever the org says, let this man cook. Give him the reins. Let him get one epic start in. Even though the season's over, this is his chance.
Right? AJ, if you're Skeens, do you say something to the front office?
Yeah, you do. You say, I want to pitch, and this is my chance. This is my last start of the year. Let me eat.
Yeah.
I ain't pitching again this year. Let me eat.
I agree. I'm excited for that one. Plenty of great games to watch. Last night was super fun. Enjoyed everyone. And also keep the combo going right now. Mayday. Live on the FT channel, popping up right now. And then it'll continue on Trevor May's YouTube channel. So a couple hours of Trevor May. Really good pregame shows here for you leading up to tonight's action. We'll see you Thursday.